Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's lair. I'm your host, Larry, and we're back for another pseudo-mobile gaming experience, checking out the game War Robots, which is made by the group Pixonic, and it's owned by the group called Charmer. Charmer, as far as I can tell, is a group or a company that has created a number of apps, both for phones and for use on the web, along with games, obviously, because their name is attached to this title. And really what this game is it's a highly simplified version of Mech Warrior, where you can purchase different mech bodies, equip them with different weaponry, and go and shoot other mechs inside of a very large cityscape arena. It's a free-to-play or a freemium game, where most of the game is free, but if you really want to, like, rush things along, like build timers or purchase things a little bit faster, you have to use premium currency or your own money to buy the premium currency. And that's really about it. I mean, it's not crazy, but I think it's kind of interesting to kind of fart around because I personally rather enjoy robots and mechs and everything in between. So I think we'll jump into a battle and I will play as this default mech. I just upgraded this mech with a new weapon called a Punisher, which is to replace this other weapon, which is just sort of like a really slow machine gun. This is a far deadlier chain gun, which I can actually upgrade for 10,000 of the in-game credits. And then normally I'd have to wait about 5 minutes for this upgrade to take effect, but I can just use the premium currency to speed that up. So that's what I meant by you can drastically speed up timers by using in-game premium currency. And that's one of the ways, like a lot of freemium games do, that War Robots tries to get your money. So I just decided to upgrade that a little bit because I want to trash people a little bit harder and look fancy for this video, but it's probably not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. And I have the option of spawning in with pretty much any of my currently equipped mechs that I have in my loadout garage. This includes things like this mech, which is the starter mech. There's that guy over there, who is that tinier mech that can actually jump. That's its gimmick. And there's that heavier looking mech that has a large cannon on its head, which is more of an artillery. I, of course, have got auto-locking missiles that are good for up-close combat, and I've also got a chain gun. I rather like the chain gun, if I'm honest. It feels a lot more satisfying than the default starter weapon. And it's really going to chew this guy up, because this little jumping mech is really, really weak. Like, no. The jumping mechanic in this game seems kind of cool, but because this was originally, or at least it plays like it was originally a mobile game, there's a lot of computer assistance when it comes to all of the controls. Everything from your aiming to your walking around, because all the controls are just relative to wherever you're facing. So you don't have to directly control your chicken legs so that you don't, like, run into a building. That was always something that drove me nuts with earlier Mech Warrior games, which is why I switched to playing Armored Core on the PlayStation a bajillion years ago. So being able to jump up in the air and be super mobile in this game is not necessarily like a superbly great feature, so I just kind of ignore that. Talking about the layout for the levels in this game, all of them kind of have a feel like this. They're all kind of playing in some sort of pseudo-urban environment, where you've got different buildings, either factories or houses or apartments. And you've also got a number of different beacons that you can capture that'll allow you to degrade the enemy's capture points or resource points, which represents their sort of team health bar up at the top. For the most part, that hasn't really become an issue this early in the game, as I've just been playing and testing this game out. Simply because 90% of the time you're going to kill everyone on the enemy team long before that comes into play. Once you get meatier, bigger mechs that are scarier looking, that might become important, but so far it's been kind of a moot point. I am also not certain if I'm actually playing against other people or not. Everybody's got the default pilot names, of which I also had one that looked exactly like those. It just said pilot with a bunch of numbers and letters going on. But some of the robots in this game kind of act like they're driven and controlled by people. So I'm assuming that at least some of these are actually living, breathing human beings who are just not necessarily used to piloting robots in a game. And it's possible that they're robots just while we're still learning how to play the game, which wouldn't surprise me. I've seen that in a lot of titles, especially freemium games, because they want you to really get comfortable with the title before you start to fight other people, so that if you are going to have the best chance of continuing to play the game and spend money, that's gonna be what does it. The game takes a number of different categories. One of them is mixing and matching robots and their respective parts. For instance, I can select this garage slot where this mech is. This is the jumping mech. And I can select and purchase a different type of mech if I really wanted to. Where I could equip like the starter mech here, or I could mess around with this guy. And I can also purchase new mechs if I hit change robot. And they've got all types of armored bad boys in here. Some that require you to spend in-game money. Some of them that require you to spend premium currency. And they get really, really big and kind of spicy looking. Like, seriously. Some of these look like something straight out of a crazy anime. That just look like they'd absolutely obliterate the world and take over the countryside. So there's definitely a lot of leeway for you to, like, upgrade and work up to. And they all have a different sort of specialty ability. Like, this thing has a sentry turret mode. This one's got a bastion mode to be really tanky. It really just depends. Each one of these robots has a different gimmick. They have different weapons that you can buy for them, which I think is sort of the idea to keep you interested in the game and playing more. The other thing is, if you really want to buy some of these weaponry, you're going to either have to spend in-game or premium currency to buy the scrap to make them, or wait until the game rewards you with them. I'm not 100% sure how that works yet, but that's another way that they try to get you to spend the dollary dues. And then, of course, you can buy different paint jobs. They're not all good paint jobs, and all the paint jobs require in-game premium currency. So you can't just, like, play a whole bunch and get a bunch of cool paint jobs. But you can get them for not supremely expensive, like this one. I really like this particular paint job, where you can actually, instead of just having it like a default kind of tan, it's got some stripes going on. And then the other stuff that they give you kind of reminds me a lot of playing other resource management games on, like, the iPad. Is they've got different achievements, or what I would maybe describe as daily quests, which allow you to get freemium, free currency, free rewards, free swag from the game, which they try to get you to accomplish different goals in the game by kind of stringing you along with different tasks, unquote. So yeah, I mean, that's really a lot of what these types of games are, is they're just trying to encourage you to spend money in a variety of different ways. Some games are more in your face about it than others, but when you're not spending any money directly to play the game, that's just kind of what you run into doing. I personally wouldn't really play a lot of this game, but it was kind of cutesy to check out for the moment. So let's see, what can I equip with this guy? I kind of want to see if there's another weapon that we can buy for you. We've got this thing called the Ember. I guess I don't really have any parts for any of these things. And a lot of the higher level weapons require you to be a much higher level. Yep, they want me to buy all of this stuff, so no siree Bob. I'll just run in with the Nash Horn. The shoots with the Nash Horn cannon. And just for the heck of it, let's actually upgrade this bad boy, so that we can make it even more deadly and obnoxious. We'll also upgrade the weapon, just so I can feel like I'm a really scary dude. And since I'm really not super attached to all of my in-game currency, I'll just blow through a whole bunch of it to boost my weapon. So I wouldn't necessarily say that this is exclusively pay to win, the way that some of these upgrades work. It can kind of feel that way. I would really say this game comes down to what a lot of the different mobile games are, which is it's pay for convenience in a game that can either feel very grindy if you don't necessarily like going in match after match, and also feels like it's a little in your face sometimes with how it wants to handle the upgrades. So this is the Schutz tank. I want to say this particular mech/tank is a little bit more meaty than some of its compatriots. It feels like it takes a little less damage from hits that, say, like that little jumping jack guy would probably get torn apart by. And this guy, because it's got a really slowly reloading gun, it obviously does a boatload of damage to targets and absolutely decimates them one chunk at a time. Now, some of my teammates, like that guy there, he obviously has upgraded the effectiveness of that gun that he starts out with because it's not a especially good gun. So he was actually really ripping into enemies right off the bat, which was kind of nice, neat and kind of nice. I'll just finish these enemies off so that they don't start taking us to pieces. And that's really the game. Like, either cap the points and, you know, start running them down on time, or you just blast away at them. This early in the game, again, this is like 90% blasting away. Unless you want to min-max your points that you personally get, then you can equip a fast-moving mech so that you can get to the cap points faster and get some extra currency. You don't really get a turbo load of extra currency, so I would not necessarily say that it's exclusively worth your time to focus on that too much. Oops, that was not a good shot. That guy's chasing me around this building. I'm gonna play jumping jacks with him, I guess. Because I don't want to die. Because it does cost you money if you don't kill anyone to repair your mechs, and that can be bad. Like, really bad. You can actually, it seems like, potentially start to lose money, depending on how well you play. So far, again, it's not been a problem. Just play conservatively, so you're not always up in people's faces right off the bat, and you should probably be fine. But they want you to keep playing this game, so I would imagine this game is going to be mostly forgiving. So here's the last guy, pilot whatever. Oh, he's got double sidewinders. Well, look at you, fancy boy. Look at you min-maxing your damage like a pro. I'm impressed. Color me impressed, Jimmy. Oh, and I like that it actually shows you with an animation when your gun is reloaded from the back of your mech if you're not staring at the timer. The port actually closes on the back of the gun. That's kind of cool. So yeah, this is War Robots. It's not crazy complex. There's not a superb lot of depth to it, but if you want to shoot people in robots, it's free. Why not? You can spend as much or as little money on it as you want for some convenience, and that's really the name of the game. You can also get some extra goodies if you share this with your friends via Facebook, which I am not going to do. But I just thought it might be interesting to check this out because I saw this advertised somewhere, and I thought it looked kind of neat. That's it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host, Larry. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to play this game for yourself, it's available on the Facebook, Gameroom, and other places.